city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
And certainly, welcome along. Jim Coyle here, Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for joining us, whatever you're doing, wherever you're going. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Happy Friday. Justin Kalen, high top the crew chief's box.
That's right.
Hope your day's off to a great start. We got another great program ahead. Drew Davis on the show today. We'll get caught up on basketball recruiting. Grant Ashtith. We're going to find out what Victor Oladipo and company are doing. And Todd Leary comes on. He'll help us preview the Louisville or the Indiana Butler game Saturday at Crossroads Classic at Bankers Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. Lots going on. Not a lot this week in the sports week, but let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this Friday, December 14th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. Chargers defeat the Chiefs 29-28 last night on Thursday Night Football. Mike Williams was the hero for the Chargers with 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving and 1 rushing. Speaking of football, it's been a rough year for the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl last season, and now their starting quarterback Carson Wentz is out with a fractured vertebrae. And Indiana basketball, as Jim said, takes on Butler tomorrow in the Crossroads Classic. That game scheduled for 3:45 at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. Those are your headlines for this December 14th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
And if you're looking for a place to watch that game, Bubba's 33, locations in Clarksville, Fishers, and Greenwood. Great place to check it out. I think that game's is it 2:45 or 3:45?
3:45. But they play after Purdue and Butler, or after Purdue and Notre Dame, so it's going to be after that.
Well, yeah, I mean they've got it scheduled for that. As long as there's no overtime, that should be along. But if you're looking for a place to check out the game, head up to Bubba's 33.
Doesn't it always seem like there's overtime in the Crossroads Classic games?
Just last year with Indiana Notre Dame.
But it's happened a lot more. Seems like it.
Very possible. Couple of good games. That should be a good game prior. Notre Dame. I don't know when I haven't heard a lot about Notre Dame this year.
No, me neither.
Me neither.
Me neither?
It just sounded funny. But Notre Dame Mike Bray usually has a pretty good squad, so that ought to be an interesting game.
They're 6-3. Better record than Purdue.
I was going to say Purdue's played a few good teams at least.
Yeah.
They played some road games. How about that NFL game? The Chiefs getting beaten by the Chargers. Phillip Rivers with the touchdown and the 2-point conversion to win that game.
If I would have told you that the Chargers were 11-3, would you believe that?
Yeah, I mean they've
11-3.
They've always had a decent offense. They've just kind of skated by out there under the radar a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, they've got just as good as a record as the Saints and the Rams. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be should be some fun. 3 weeks left in the regular season.
Yep.
Before that starts getting heated up to the playoffs, and then we got bowl games coming up. We've got all kinds of stuff as we get closer and closer to the Christmas holidays. No bowl game for Indiana, of course.
Darn.
Cheerios Bowl. Hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367. And make sure that you, if you haven't already, sign up at indianasportsbeat.com. That way you never miss a beat with Indiana Sports Beat. Each episode is delivered to you so you can listen to whatever you like. We're also available on Facebook, of course, but Google Play, Apple Play, iTunes, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify. Did I miss any?
I don't think so.
You can find us anywhere. We're fortunate to have listeners around the world now. It's pretty cool. And you can hit us up on the text line anytime, even for not on the air. I check those out. I mean, they don't go anywhere. That number, 812-269-6367. Tuck it away. comments, questions for the guests coming up today. Got Todd Leary on, Drew Davis and recruiting news. Grant Abseth, we're talking about some Pacers and Victor Oladipo. And then Indiana taking on Butler in the Bankers Life Fieldhouse this weekend for the Crossroads Classic. Back in action after being off since last Saturday, taking on Louisville. It was finals week. How'd you do?
I don't want to remember finals week. It was brutal.
I don't remember it.
Oh.
I did my most studying then. I didn't study a lot.
Yeah,
during the
same.
semester.
Wait till the last week. The week before finals week is usually when I started.
That's
hitting
how
the
you.
road.
That's just how you learn. Too. That's how you retain all that knowledge. Just cramming it in real quick. Hope your day's off to a great start. Happy Friday. What all's going on this weekend? You've got some games I know to do.
Yeah, I'll be on the call of Corden Scottsburg tonight, and then Floyd Central Bloomington South tomorrow. Looking forward to that Bloomington South game. That'll be right here on Big X Sports Radio. Looking forward to that just to see Anthony Leal, who I haven't seen yet, who Indiana's right on the tail of.
Anthony Leal plays for Bloomington South. You've got Kobe Barnes and Floyd Central. Floyd Central, this is their fourth road game, I think, of a ranked opponent.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
And they're up to number 3 themselves.
And they've already played 3 or 4 on the road.
Yeah.
They went to Lawrence North and won. To New Albany and won. I think there's another. It's a tall order.
Yeah. Good program.
They played Bloomington South last year in the Hall of Fame Classic in Newcastle. Barnes was sick, I remember. They lost that game in overtime. Hadn't been beaten up to that point. Probably cost them a number 1 ranking.
Yeah, this will be their 3rd road game headed up to Bloomington South.
3rd, okay. So New Albany, well, they beat New Albany on the road, and they beaten Lawrence North on the road.
Yep.
Pretty daggone good wins.
Sure.
I mean, you'd have to be an underdog going into Bloomington South, I would think.
Yeah, we'll see.
Ought to be a good game, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if Archie will make it back. They play at 3:45 over in Indianapolis, and if he's recruiting Leal, he's going to have the opportunity to go out and see some high schoolers play tonight. I don't know if Leal's one of those or not, because that would pretty much be all he could do if he goes to Bloomington, whereas he could possibly hit a couple around Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Depending on who's playing where.
In terms of recruiting for this coaching staff, though,
I.e. Keon Brooks.
isn't it at this point you're trying to build the relationships with the younger guys, that maybe the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors? I mean,
Absolutely.
next year's class is pretty much already wrapped up.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, they've got the guys that they want, and I think they're going to get the other guy that they want. But yeah, these are for next year. These are next year's class. This is the class of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got to maintain those relationships.
Right.
I mean, that's the amazing thing that Archie has done, is coming in, being behind. The ground he made up on Romeo. Now, of course, that was helped a lot by the FBI. But made up ground on all those guys. Keon Brooks, especially if he gets Keon Brooks, that's another one that he made up.
Mm-hmm.
Came in a little late on, but he had a year to run that one out, whereas Romeo wasn't.
Yeah, I remember when the whole Keon Brooks thing first started. It seemed like Michigan State, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But now it doesn't even seem like Michigan State's in the mix for him, with them canceling that visit.
Yeah, So Archie's got he's doing exactly what he said he would do, locking down the borders. And that's a huge start to getting this program turned around. He's still a couple years away from having the guys he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, he's starting to get them in there, the last year's class, and the guys he's got this year. But he gets the opportunity to have his guys. He's still playing with other people's. No offense to Al, he wasn't recruited by Archie. I mean,
But Al is a typical Archie player.
he is, and I'm not saying otherwise. But Devontae Green, those guys that Archie didn't recruit per se, he had to salvage. But yeah, I think Archie, once he gets his guys in, to where they don't have to make any changes, they haven't played under somebody else, played a different style, he can get them from the start.
Doesn't a guy like Juwan Morgan seem like an Archie Miller type of guy?
Absolutely.
And he came in and was like, hell yeah, I love this guy.
Absolutely. I mean, he is just all work, produces, no problems, hard worker, good athlete, good basketball player. But I think I was thinking about this the other day. Juwan's got to kick it up if he wants to move to the next level.
Yeah.
It's not that he doesn't have the ability to do any of the things he needs to do. He just doesn't do them enough.
Holding back a little, it seems.
He needs to score. He needs to show he's more of a scorer. I think his defense is fine, and it'll only get better. But he's got to show, for moving to the next level, that, hey, I can shoot this three a little more frequently than I do, and consistently. Hey, I can drive. I can create my own shot. I think he's an okay outside shooter, but he needs to be set. He's got to have, he got to have his feet under him and all that good stuff. He can't just, where Romeo makes his shot. And Romeo's not hitting the jumper very well right now. That'll come. He's too good of an athlete. He's too good of a basketball player. He's just too naturally good, and he works at it. He shoots and he shoots and he shoots, and he goes into Cook Hall and he shoots. And, yeah, his three-point shooting, not very good right now. He's got a lot of new stuff that's going into his head. I think Romeo is going to be just fine in all aspects of the game a couple years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6 months removed from high school. He's got a lot to learn, and he is learning it. But you can see the unbelievable, undeniable talent that he possesses. No doubt about it. We got to take a break. We got plenty coming up on the show today. Like I said, Todd Leary, of course, on the program. Drew Davis is going to talk some recruiting. Grant Afseth get us caught up on the Pacers and Victor Oladipo. And if you missed A.J. Moye, don't worry. We got it for you. Right after this on Indiana Sports Beat.
Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's finally Friday, I'm out of control.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Joined, as we had hoped to be, by A.J. Moyer, one of my absolute favorite Hoosiers of all time. A.J., thank you, sir, for joining us.
Hey, no problem, man. I love it. I love it. I love Indiana. This place is home.
Man, we got to see you back at Assembly Hall this past weekend for the Louisville game. First time you'd made it back since you played there, I think. What kept you away so long?
Well, man, I got to give credit where credit is due, man. It was Archie Miller, and I met Archie this past summer. I usually always go to Assembly Hall maybe once every 2 years, and I always go and talk with Tim Gurl, because Tim Gurl is he's just an amazing man. I'm so thrilled that they finally named the training room after him, and but he's an amazing man. So we always kept our friendship, and I went back to see Tim this summer, and then when I was talking to Tim, then Archie Miller just came out of the blue and knew who I was, and he spoke to me, and we exchanged numbers. He asked me for a picture. And then after that, man, we just been talking. We talked probably 1-2 times a week. And then I remember one week we spoke to like 3 in the morning in California. So I was like, man, Archie doesn't sleep. You know what I mean? But, Archie's a fantastic dude, man. And so Archie asked me, would I have time, because I was coming back to get married. And I said, yeah, sure. And then I told him, Louisville, he said, no problem, I got you. And he got tickets for my fiance and my brother-in-law, and it was just a real great time. So I was so thankful, and it still took me a while. And then too, I've always been playing basketball, so I've been playing basketball up until about 4 years ago. And then, even then, I was always involved with basketball, so I was always a head coach. So I always had, like, the coach games and coach stuff. So the thing is, I'm getting married in 2 days,
Woo-hoo.
right? So
Congratulations.
Yeah, and she's a Hoosier. So so it was kind of like it's kind of a perfect storm. You know what I'm saying? So I came on back.
Any chances of you moving back to the Hoosier State?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, man, it's a strong possibility. We have to, have to find something that works. Of course, I'd love to coach down there with Archie, but that's going to take, that in itself, it will work itself out if it's supposed to be. I'm not really worried about it, but I got friends, with all the organizations in Indiana. So it's just going to be, I have to really sit down and I have to really see. Because right now in California, I work at a Mamba Sports Academy. It's Kobe Bryant's company. And then I also I coach high school basketball, and then we're real good out there. I usually have 2 or 3 Division I players every year. So it's just a thing where it has to feasibly make sense. But, man, I would love to be back in the Hoosier State, man. The way these fans have treated me and the way the people of Indiana, the good people of Indiana, have treated me since I've been here for about a week, man, it's been unbelievable. It's been second to none.
Well, you're one of the beloved Hoosiers. You played on a team that was just remarkable. I mean, I remember as a fan being in the stands in Lexington for the games against Duke and Kent State. I was in Atlanta for the Final Four. Just an unbelievable run. And a quick story, and I told you this in Bloomington, but me and one of my best friends, his father, Oski, we were down in Atlanta, and we're walking in, the mile, however long it was to get to the dome. But we walking in with this other gentleman, and, boy, he's talking, and Oski, the older guy that I was with, he was like, man, he sure had a lot of interest in that game. And I'm like, oh, real? Why? He goes, well, that was A.J. Moye's dad. So we had the great fortune of walking in with your father down there. Super nice guy then. But and I mentioned that to you then, and you informed me that he had passed a couple years ago. So we're sorry for that. But, man, it was a great, great conversation getting to walk in with him.
Yeah, man, it's always a great anything, man. When you got to meet my father, I think people ask me all the time. They say, hey, man, you're nice, or hey, man, you're this, you're this. And I'm not saying like nice at basketball. They just mean I'm a nice person. And the people that do ask me about it, I tell them I get it from my father. My father was just such an amazing man. He really had a heart, and he just really loved God, and he just really loved people. He used to tell me all the time, be nice to everyone you meet, treat everyone with respect. And he's like, hey, listen to him. He's like, listen to everybody you meet. You'll find something new. You'll find something out cool. And that was my guy. So I'm thrilled that you got to meet him, and thrilled that you got to talk with him, and he got to spend some time with you. That really means a lot to me.
Well, I appreciate that. And obviously the apple didn't far from the tree, because you heeded his advice, and it served you well. As I said, one of the most beloved Hoosiers, and from that team, man, that was such a fun time. And I got to tell you, I saw you took a picture next to the picture that's my favorite sports picture of all time. The picture of A.J. Moye blocking Carlos Boozer, a 6'4" A.J. Moye blocking a 6'8" Carlos Boozer. To me, the greatest photograph, definitely in Indiana's history, but just I tell my producer all the time, if that was me, my house would be wallpapered in that poster.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, man. I don't even own I don't even own a picture of Slight Memento. I don't own anything of that. Because, I mean, the reason why is like my mom has it up at home, and my dad had it up at his home, and my brothers each got individual pictures in their room. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, and then every I'm telling you, probably about 3 to 5 times a week, someone comes up to me, hey, man, that block on Boozer was crazy. Like, so it's definitely a moment in time that I feel that was a significant moment in sports history, because you got one guy, All-American, big bad power forward, and you got a little a guard, and then just gets up and blocks him.
Coming up from your upbringing and then coming to Indiana, you get to play in that great environment. But could you imagine being a part of a moment in time like that is just etched into people's memories, but it's solidified so much that people do keep that picture, that poster. Indiana's got it in Assembly Hall. It is such an iconic thing. And what's it like being a part of an iconic moment like that?
Well, I'll tell you this. And I don't mean this to sound cocky or anything, but I mean, I feel like that's what I worked for my whole life, to be in moments like that. That's why I went to Indiana. I remember when Coach Knight was recruiting me, he said, hey, man, I think with the talent that I have down there and the talent we got coming in, he's like, if I got a tough, SOB like you, he's like, I think we can get to the Final Four every year you're in college. He said, how does that sound? I said, sounds great. Sign me up. You know what I mean? And because the thing is, I knew I was a competitor. I'm a competitor, man. I'm not gonna say I'm the best competitor in the world, but I know if someone throws a sandwich out on the floor, I'm probably gonna bite everybody to get that sandwich before, So that's how I am, and so I went to Indiana, man, to be a part of moments like that, and I'm just so thrilled that I was able to fulfill like a part of a childhood dream, a lifelong dream. Because when you're playing basketball, you always want to. Well, for me, I wanted to win, and I wanted to compete in such a way that it would inspire others to believe in their dreams and believe in themselves as well. And so, I'm just grateful. And then on the other hand, I love Indiana, man. You know what I mean? I just love Indiana, so I'm just glad that I could be a part of the Hoosier lore in some way or some fashion.
I think that poster, if it does nothing else, it describes competitiveness. I mean, the very thing that you talked about, because here, again, a 6'4", A.J. Moye and a 6'8", All-American Carlos Boozer, that just, to me, that screams that I want to overachieve. I'm going to do everything possible.
Oh yeah, I mean that's pretty much all it was, man. We were just trying to reach our goals, man. You know what I mean?
And going back to that team, that is not a team that anybody in the world, maybe outside of the 12 guys on that floor and Mike Davis, thought had any chance of going to a Final Four that season. That had any chance of getting past a defending champion Duke, that had any chance of coming back from a 17-point deficit and beating Duke with all the teams, all the guys they had, and Mike Krzyzewski. But yet, that's exactly what happened. What in the world was it like being on that run?
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man. The Coach Knight's credit, Coach Davis was awesome. And Coach Treelor, though, John Treelor, oh, man, he was awesome. Like, every round, he had, like, this new edge, this new take on it. And before we played Duke, he showed us the Buster Douglas-Mike Tyson fight, right? And everyone in the world, Mike Tyson, Mike. And then they were fighting, and it had to be about 2 rounds before he ended up knocking Mike out. And he paused it during this one little exchange they were having, right? And in the exchange, you could see Buster Douglas's eyes, and in his eyes, he looked possessed. You know what I mean? He just looked possessed. It looked like there was no way on God's green earth this guy was going to lose, and he didn't lose. And so he told us, hey, that's how you guys got to go out tomorrow night, and you guys got to fight, and you guys got to do this. But one thing I'm going to say, too, about that is, people look at us, right, and they say, oh, man, you guys, I don't know how you guys did. Hey, we were pretty good. You know what I mean? We had like maybe 5 or 6 Mr. Basketball, and we had maybe 6 or 7, high school All-Americans. So it wasn't like we were a slouch team. It's just that, we weren't UNLV, you know what I mean? But we were guys that played basketball at a very high level.
Oh yeah,
So,
because after you beat Duke, you had to beat Kent State to get to the Final Four.
Yeah.
But you beat a great Oklahoma team and the future IU coach and Kelvin Sampson once you got there. So it didn't stop. That wasn't a fluke win. You guys almost won a national championship.
Yeah, and then along the way, man, we had a lot of people that kind of help us out. You know what I mean? Because USC, they lost. I think Scalabrine was on that team. Sam Clancy, they were good, but they lost to what UNC Wilmington, right? So we'd have played USC in the second round, but they lost to UNC Wilmington. And then you had Pittsburgh losing to Kent State. So you know what I mean? It was things along the way, and no offense to Kent State or UNC Wilmington, but you know, there were games where all right, we had the size advantage, and when we got a massive size advantage inside, man, we knew what to do, man. Get the ball down low to Jared Jeffries and Jeff Newton. And then we'd all move and relocate, and then they kick it back out. And then, you know, it's bombs away. Man, we probably had like about 4 or 5 guys hovering around 40% from 3 that year. So it was a pretty good team.
It was amazing to watch, and an amazing ride to follow from a fan perspective. Now, I know you. Do you get much of a chance to follow Indiana now? I know you haven't been able to get back as much as you want, but have you been able to follow the team?
I follow them all the time. And see, that's the reason, and again, that's another reason why I came back. It's Archie, man. I'm telling you, Archie coaches. He coaches in a way, man, that guys just don't coach anymore. You know, he holds guys accountable. He's not going to play you based on who you are. You know, he's going to play you based on what you do when you get out there. And Archie will leave anybody in the game, man. It doesn't matter who. He just wants you playing right, playing hard, playing the right way. He wants to move in the ball. You know what I mean? And he gets on him about defense. I mean, he loves defense, and he loves them to be unselfish and move the ball. And, man, anyone who coaches in that manner, in that way, man, I love them. You know what I mean? So I really do. I really do love Archie. I really do.
Well, we're looking forward to hopefully one day seeing A.J. Moye back on an Indiana sideline. That would be something I think the fans would just absolutely love.
Well, that would be a dream come true for me. But as I said, man, I'm a firm believer in a manifest destiny, you know, if you will. I just believe that if you work for it and you got a good heart and you're a good person, I believe everything has a way of working itself out for the betterment of whatever you're trying to do.
Couldn't be any more well said. A.J. Moye, I cannot thank you enough. I'd love to be able to do this again as the season progresses, maybe check back in, see what's going on with you and your teams, and well as what you see in the Indiana Hoosiers this year.
Oh, yes, sir. No problem.
A.J. Moye, former Indiana great, thank you again. We appreciate you, sir, and good luck on your season coming up right now.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. I got because I told, like last year, off my last year team, I had 3 guys that went D1. So I got Big Zeke Richards. He starts out at Santa Clara. He's a freshman. I got Riley Batten, awesome, talented freshman. Plays for Utah. He starts. I'm actually going down to Kentucky because Utah plays Kentucky at Kentucky on Saturday. So I get married on Friday. Then I'm going down to see Riley play. And then I got Wes Slackert, who's a freshman. He's at Dartmouth, and he's in a rotation. So, and then he's got a little brother, Clark Slackert, who's leading the state of California in scoring this year. He's a junior, and he averages about 5-6 assists for us. He's the next D1 one out of our school. So, just been working and teaching, man. That's it.
Just got to hear some next time. We got to hear some of those players that are coming to Indiana.
Oh, yeah, I'm trying.
AJ Moye, thank you, sir. Look forward to it. Congratulations on getting married, and good luck. We wish the best of luck to you and your fiancée.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you. AJ Moye, one of the greats from the Hoosier lore. We're so thankful for that. Brought to you by, of course, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. We got Terry Hutchins coming up on the show here next. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's right back after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park, but meantime.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday as we close out finals week. Hope you got a lot of all your studying done there, Drew Davis.
Oh, man, I got all that behind me, man. I'm good to go.
Just kidding. Yeah, rough week for the students, the finals week. Not a lot of sports going on. We've been saddled with a bunch of games that teams we only hear of once a year when somebody makes the NCAA tournament. We're like, who? But this weekend, back to the college game, but there's a lot of recruiting action going on right now. All kinds of sports, but in basketball, this gives Archie a chance to get out a little bit and see a little more than normal. But what's going on in the world of recruiting for Indiana, Drew?
It's pretty much just kind of where it was, after Trace committed to Indiana. You're waiting, if you're Archie Miller, you're waiting to finish up that 2019 class. You're trying to land that final big fish in Keelan Brooks Jr. You're kind of just keep kind of doing your thing there, kind of still recruiting him, just, going after him hard, just trying to close the deal, and that's where you're kind of at with him. And then, you're starting to look at your 2020 and 2021 classes, and you're looking at guys like Anthony Leal in 2020, Ethan Morton in 2020, Caleb Love in 2020 as well. And then 2021, you got the in-state guys like Christian Lander, Caleb First, and a guy like Trey Copper from Silver Creek. So I think I'm kind of interested to see what happens in 20 and 21. I think those will be two interesting classes, especially 2021.
And, with Keon, the farther this goes, is it less of a good sign for Indiana if it goes longer? I think that he'd want to, with Indiana's recruiting class kind of filled with just that one spot waiting, I would think he'd want to just go ahead and get that over with if he has come to a decision. But not making that announcement, does that mean he really hasn't made a decision yet?
No, I think you're right about that. It's basically, Keon hasn't gotten to a final decision yet. He may have an idea of where he wants to go or whatnot. I don't even know if he has that, but he hasn't even got to the final decision, and he's going to have to figure that out. And I think it's going to take some sit-downs with he and his family, and those haven't had any time to take place yet with the busy schedule, and you have to take into account also that he's away from home, so he's not, him and his family aren't able to sit down every night and hash through things, so that's something else to take into account. But I don't know if it's worse for Indiana the longer it goes. I mean, obviously, Indiana wants to get this done with as quick as possible and get a commitment in the bag, and they're obviously in a really good position right now. But I think it kind of is similar to Trace Jackson Davis. Obviously, people said the longer this goes there, the worse it is for Indiana, but they still end up getting them. I think it's kind of one of those situations where it's not so much, a game breaker. It's just, not the ideal situation to have it keep going. But I don't think it's a situation where it necessarily hurts Indiana.
Well, you go back, if you remember that none of us knew this, but by the time that Trace Jackson made his announcement, he'd already signed his letter of intent prior to that. And none of us knew that, of course, but he had already made his decision. He just hadn't made it known yet. And, that could be something similar going on with Keon, but we'll find out. And then Saturday with the game against Butler being in the afternoon at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, that will give Archie also another opportunity to hit some high school Saturday night around Indiana. Of course, Anthony Leal playing at home in Bloomington against Floyd Central and Kobe Barnes. That's going to be a great matchup, but another opportunity for Archie to watch Anthony Leal.
Yeah, another opportunity to see Anthony Leal in a setting where, Todd Sturgeon, Floyd Central, he's a really good coach, and I always like to see players play against him because he makes them work, and he doesn't make life easy on them. He makes them uncomfortable. I think back to the good job he did against Romeo Langford last year, and just how hard he made him work for every bucket. And that's kind of like what I like to see when I go out and watch players, because I like to see them in an uncomfortable environment, because I think it tells me a little bit about them. And that'll definitely be a good opportunity for people to see Leo against a good team and a good coach. And, Anthony started out the year, he struggled a little bit out of the gate, but he's picked it up here lately. He's dropped 35, I want to say, against Southport, the school record. So he's getting back on track to scoring the basketball, and we'll see if any coaches get out there. That'll be a game to watch. And then you look down in Evansville, the Evansville Boston Classic. In that game, you have a really nice primetime matchup with Kiki Tandy from University Heights. He's a Xavier commit, and Christian Lander on the other side. Those are two guards that I think are going to have a good matchup, and I think they'll be fun to watch. And I think that could be one of the matchups of the night right there.
Absolutely. As for the 2 years that Archie's been on the job now, and have you seen a difference in Indiana coaches, the Indiana high school basketball community, how they are responding to Indiana, to Archie, as opposed to before Archie arriving? Because it was kind of known that Tom Crean didn't have the greatest relationship with the high school coaches around Indiana. He didn't recruit Indiana very well. That was one of the problems mentioned when he went away. But Archie has made a concerted effort of that. Obviously, he said that he planned on closing the borders, was one of the things in his opening statement when he was hired, and he's doing pretty much that. And it seems like there's been a turnaround in the reception of Indiana around the state.
That's a really good point. You look at where Tom Crean was at his end of time at Indiana. He wasn't in the greatest of graces amongst people in Indiana. He really struggled to, recruit the state. And you look at a guy like, just for example, Keon Brooks at that time was going through his sophomore year, hasn't heard from Indiana, hasn't really been recruited by Indiana. That to me is unacceptable. You're the in-state school, and you gotta go after those guys. You gotta be recruiting those guys. They want to be recruited by Indiana. They don't. Nobody wants to just not be recruited by the in-state school, very good player, and that's just unacceptable. But Archie's really done a great job of building goodwill amongst people in the state, whether it's trainers, coaches, AAU coaches, and whatnot. He's done a really good job. First things first, I like how he's gone about it. It's kind of an open door policy for anyone from the state of Indiana that's on the basketball. They have an opportunity to go watch a practice if they want to, kind of, take Archie's brain a little bit, and they can kind of see what he does and kind of learn from him. And I think that's very valuable, and I think that's just something that opens another avenue for him to build relationships with people in Indiana. And I think he's done a good job of getting out and going to the high school stuff, going to practices, talking with coaches, and the approach couldn't be different. It's a night and day from what Crean did when he was in Indiana, and Archie's just really, really gotten off to a great start in the state. And I think let's just say Indiana lands Keon Brooks, and you look at the high school players in the state last year. Indiana will have had the top 6 players in the state from last year, and I think that speaks volumes for the job he does here in Indiana and the relationships he's kind of built, and just his overall approach and everything.
With Drew Davis from Peaks.com. And the thing that amazes me most, Drew, is he's pretty much done this without Indiana connections. He does have Coach Ed on the squad that was head coach at Park Tudor, where he won 2 state championships. He coached Yogi Ferrell and had an academy, but he doesn't have an IU connection on there. He doesn't have a former IU grade or a former IU coach. So the fact that he's done this without that, to me, is a little more amazing, because it's a lot tougher when you don't have those built-in connections.
Right. Obviously, you come in and you have those connections. You're almost playing a home game versus, learning the lay of the land. And Archie's just done a good job of staying true to his approach, staying genuine with his approach, and I think there's something to be said for a guy that it's just 99% of the time he sticks to what he says, and that rare 1% where something may come up, but he's been a man of his word, and I think that's really resonated well with people of Indiana, and I think that's won a lot of people over at the high school level. And I just think it starts with his willingness and openness to just really get to know people from Indiana and really just show them their priority and make them feel like they're just basically make it really have that family feel. You also look at the job he's done with bringing former players back. You look at a guy like AJ Moye making his first trip back on Saturday and getting guys like that involved. I think obviously, speaks volumes that, Cody and Vic, obviously, they love the program. That's probably part of it, but they like the direction the program's going. They make that big donation. I think that kind of speaks volumes for the job Archie has done and the relationship he's built for guys that even, they weren't even his guy, so to speak, but they still like him and whatnot. And I think he's just done a really good job all around in the state of Indiana.
I agree wholeheartedly, and AJ was on the show yesterday, and he talked extensively. He really, really appreciates and respects the job that Archie's doing, very much so, and he gave Archie the credit for reaching out to him. He had been back to Bloomington since he had played, but he had never been back to a game, and Archie was the impetus for getting him back to a game as AJ's getting married this weekend, so we're giving congratulations to AJ, and we were grateful to have him on yesterday. What a great interview. But he wants to come back to Indiana. He wants to be back in Indiana. And to be honest with you, he wants to coach. He would love nothing more than to coach at Indiana.
Right. You have guys like that, and obviously the staff's probably set for a while now. Until one of those guys makes a move for a job or whatever that may be, and obviously you look at getting guys like that back is huge in my opinion. I think having that bond with the former players is huge because that's not only big for your tradition and your culture, but it's also big for recruiting when your recruits come in and they can interact with guys, the legends that came through your program. That's huge, and Archie's kind of gone out of his way to build relationships, and maybe not necessarily repair relationships for the university, but kind of build them and kind of get those guys involved and make them feel like they're still a big part of the program. And I think that's really good. And once you do that, they come back and they work out over the summer, and that just makes a big impact on your program. Again, to interact with your current players, and recruits see that, and it's a good deal for Indiana, and I think it'll be something interesting to watch moving forward. And I think he's done a really good job with that.
And you talk about the staff. Tom Ostrom is his assistant head coach, is his right-hand man, Archie Miller's. I don't know that he has head coach aspirations, but as I look down the staff, Ed Schilling, again, I think he seems kind of happy where he is, being from Indiana. And then Bruiser Flint, he's been a head coach. I don't know if he wants to do that again, or if these guys are all comfortable at Indiana. And if that's the case, that's great because that's going to give Archie a lot of stability in with his assistant coaches, as opposed to having a revolving door, which I think will help with recruiting. But that does prevent from anybody else from coming in. That's for certain.
Yeah, I speculate, but I'd say if you ask me to look at the staff, just pick one of those guys that I could see, that I just make a prediction to say, that guy will be the next head coach off that staff. I'd say I'd probably go with Tom Ostrom. She's younger. he's been an associate coach. He's kind of been Archie's right-hand guy for, a number of years now, and he's probably the closest to becoming a head coach one day. And I don't know when that will be, but I don't think it'll be, this year or the following year. So I think Indiana's kind of locked in there, and I think that's a good thing because your assistants do a lot of recruiting. They build relationships with these kids, and you look at a guy like Trace Jackson Davis, Tom Ostrom did a lot of heavy lifting there. He was the lead recruiter, just did a phenomenal job in that recruitment. And you look at, Ed Schelling and Bruiser, obviously big in the Keon Brooks recruitment. That's just a couple examples of how your assistants, impact recruiting. And the staff really complements each other well. You have Bruiser with the East Coast connections, and then you have Tom, who's been with Archie for, a number of years. He's just kind of probably an extension of Archie at this point. And he's got his connections to Minnesota and some places in the southern part of the country as well, from when he was a coach, in Arkansas and Florida and places like that. And then you have Ed, who's your guy that has connections throughout the state of Indiana and is big on skill development. So, I really thought Archie did a good job of just balancing the staff and putting together a staff that does a little bit of everything and complements each other well.
Absolutely. Drew Davis and Peaks.com getting us caught up on recruiting news. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Look forward to talking to you on Monday.
No problem, man. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday.
I'll see you Saturday. All right. Have a great one. Drew Davis and Peaks.com getting us caught up on recruiting news. We've got plenty more coming up on the show today. Grant Afseth joins us, and Todd Leary. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat back right after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Welcome along, Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle here on this Friday. Thanks a lot for joining us wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking us along for the ride. Justin Kalen high atop the Crew Chiefs box.
That's right.
Hope you've had a great week and are ready for the weekend. I certainly am. Not a lot of sports going on this week. Some stuff to get to this weekend finally, though. Indiana and Butler, some games this weekend. Before we get to that, let's get to the headlines with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines for this Friday, December 14th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. The Chargers defeat the Chiefs last night on Thursday Night Football 29-28. Mike Williams was the hero with 3 touchdowns, 2 of them receiving, 1 rushing. Speaking of football, it's been a rough year for the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl last season, but now they lost their starting quarterback, Carson Wentz, as he is out with a fractured vertebrae. And as Jim said, Indiana men's basketball taking on Butler tomorrow in the Crossroads Classic. That game will take place at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, scheduled for a 3:45 tip. Those are your headlines for this December 14th, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
Yeah, welcome back. Tomorrow the Indiana Hoosiers take on the Butler Bulldogs up in Bankers Life Fieldhouse, Crossroads Classic. Notre Dame takes on Purdue. Before that, the IU game's at 3:45. Don't know how the broadcast is going tomorrow.
Didn't Indiana play second last year, too?
They did. It's a marquee game, man. Indiana's always a marquee game.
Are they? I have to start paying attention to that.
But, yes, they did play second last year. I don't know that changes, maybe.
I think they're always playing second.
Like, we have games just like that. So, I mean, it's tough to get a chance to watch him, but I'm sure the next few days I'll really study up on him and just watch how he plays.
What have you, I guess, heard about him? I mean,
I know he's a really good player. He's a really good scorer. As a freshman, it's tough coming into college basketball. So, hats off to him for doing what he's doing. I know it's tough as a freshman coming in, so that's great.
That was Aaron Thompson, a player for Butler, talking about Romeo Langford. Acting like they haven't heard. I've heard about him. I haven't seen him. Well, this is true. They probably haven't seen a lot of him play, though. I mean, they got their own stuff they're dealing with. You know, they play in the Big East. They play in a completely different conference. It's kind of removed. Joey Bronk, another player for Butler, also asked about.
Romeo's a very talented player. We played each other in high school. He had a pretty good game. When we played each other. Pretty good. Yeah. So Romeo's obviously a great player, and I'm excited to play, and love playing against anybody from the state of Indiana.
Yeah, he had an okay game when they played. 46 points in a game that he played when he's talking about high school. he had an okay game. Yeah, he had 46 on them. They won like 86 to 40 something.
Jeez. Joker text in, pretty good text here. Said, Justin, the JV teams always play before the varsity.
Ah! That's what you were laughing about.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Also, Doug hits it in from Australia.
G'day, mate.
Finney, Romeo, Fitz, Morgan, and Mr. Smith. That's what he wants to see on the floor.
Say that one more time.
Finney, Romeo, Morgan, Smith, and Fitzner. Fitzner, the only one. Fitzner's not playing too well. Doug, I'm gonna kick Fitzner out, and it would be Duran if Duran had the stamina, but right now it's not. He's been going with a 3-guard offense, actually, and Al Durham being that third man in, they've pretty much fallen on that rotation.
I agree with Doug there, though. I would love to see more 3 big lineups. Like
I would
Juwan,
too if
Justin
it was
Smith and Duran. That's huge.
I would too if it was being productive, but that's the thing that they haven't gotten is production from a 3 bigs down there.
Yeah.
So they've had more production from a kind of a 3-guard lineup offensively, and I guess they're able to withstand it defensively.
Well, and the way they want to play with moving the ball up and down the court, that makes sense to have more of a smaller lineup. But I think there are times, and there's going to be times this season where the 3 big lineup could really do some damage.
Well, absolutely, and you've got to get those guys all back in order. I thought that's kind of how it would be early on. I thought that's one of the reasons is because this gives a lot of headaches if it's working. If you got Fitzner in there and he's out there shooting threes in addition to roaming the middle, well, that poses a lot of problems. He hadn't been doing that, though, unfortunately. He had one good game where he kind of lit it up, but it hasn't done much since, and he hadn't hardly played since. Yeah. His minutes have kind of gone down, but his production went down. So the more his production went down, as did his minutes. We'll see how that goes as Duran Davis gets healthier. And Duran's probably going to play more, but that's a completely different player. Duran does not leave the post, where Fitzner is kind of in and out.
I look for Fitzner to have a couple bounce-back games here before Indiana gets back into Big Ten play.
Well, I think that all plays into each other. You got Justin Smith, who's playing better. Mm-hmm. I think that will take some stress off of Fitzner's not a Justin Smith-type player. They're both big men, but completely different. Fitzner's more a la post size, but he's not a post player. He's more sits further out on the perimeter and tries to knock down shots, but he just hasn't been doing that of late.
I think we have seen the ability, though, from Fitzner to be able to play inside, and he's got a pretty good array of moves down low. Just, for whatever reason, prefers to stand along the perimeter, but 3 points are better than 2.
Yeah, like I said, it would be nice if they could add that because they could certainly use that element to the game.
Yeah.
I mean, that opens up. If they have a consistent three-point shooter or consistent three-point shooting, they become an extremely dangerous team.
Agreed.
Extremely, because you've got some guys that are just good pieces. Juwan Morgan, Justin Smith, they're good down there. They're very athletic and they're very talented. You've got Romeo, who is just going to get better and better each game. He's already done that. He's gotten more comfortable in his role. He's a scorer on this team, and he knows he's the scorer on this team. I think that was part of it at the beginning of the season. This was Juwan's team. This was Zach's team. Well, that's out the window now, and things are settling into place, and it's not by, I'm going to claim it. No, it's been claimed by action. Actions speak louder than words, and Romeo's actions of leading the team from that standpoint is just been well established, and that's not going to change, and I think Romeo's now going to become much more confident in that role, and the more confident he becomes, the better his game becomes. Because a player that with that much talent, if he has the confidence to match, look out.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we were talking about in the first segment in terms of Juwan. You were talking about what he needs to do if he wants to get to the next level, meaning the NBA. I think Juwan is the typical team guy. So, yeah, it was his team at the beginning of the season, but then he realized, well, maybe if we got Romeo scoring a little bit more, maybe if we do some things differently, we'll win some more ball games. So Juwan Morgan almost has taken a step back, and I agree with that assessment from you that he needs to do more to get to the next level. But he's all about winning. He's a team guy. What can I do to help this team win ball games?
Yeah, and it's been a tough row for this team everyone to find their role because of all the injuries that happened.
Sure.
It really things were moving in the right direction. Everything was gelling. They were getting better, and everyone's finding. Then all of a sudden, boom! You got 5 guys out. 5 guys that play that were out. Well, that did a lot of damage as far as slowing the train down. Now you got to go back and not completely start over, but you got to reset. And everyone was still trying to find their role back, find their way back, play their way back, and that affected the entire team, the chemistry of the entire team, and it does matter. That's why you can see teams, if you look back in history. We talked about AJ's team yesterday, AJ Moye. They started out crap, but yet they ended up in the championship game of the national finals. The 81 championship team, I think that they had not a very good record early on, but they got it together. Things changed. Things come together. That's going to have to happen with this team. They're going to have to start hitting free throws. Yeah. They're going to have to start hitting some three-point shots. I'm not saying they got to light it up for 10 a game. They just got to have a better percentage. Take better shots. Yeah. Take better shots. Don't go 4 for 15. That's just dumb. If you want to go 4 for 10, that's okay. Don't be going 4 for 15. You're wasting possessions. That's like turning the ball over. They've done a good job on getting the turnovers kind of back in order. The free throws we've talked about immensely. That's a mental thing. They got to get that fixed in their head. It's not about physicality. It's not that they don't, or whether they do or don't have the ability to make a free throw. Ridiculous. They do. That's mental. They got to get that fixed. I think that's something that can be fixed. They can get tougher, mentally tougher. So we'll see. There's just a lot of things, a lot of changes that have to happen, and that's the difference between the team getting good and becoming better as the year goes on and not.
Yeah, and one more point to make before we got to get to a break. If Indiana is able to shoot the three ball better, like you said, get 2-3 guys that consistently shoot the three, free throws aren't that much of an issue anymore. You can get away with shooting 65-70% from the free throw line if you're knocking down threes. So
free throws are always an issue, though, if you're hitting 60%.
Well, I mean, at this point in the season, why should we think that it's going to turn around?
Well,
it is what it is at this point.
Because this is a team that lives on getting to the free throw. And I don't want to say lives on it, but that's part of their repertoire is getting to the free throw line. And they've done a great job, but they just haven't done as good a job of taking advantage of that, which, again, I think that can change. We got to take a break. We got a lot coming up on the show today. Todd Leary's on the program. Coming up next, Grand Rapids, we'll talk about Victor Oladipo and see how those guys are doing. Right after this on Indiana Sports Beat.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. great roof. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here at the end of the week. So glad to have you joining us. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going. Justin Kalen, high atop the Crew Chiefs box as always. You know, you can find us myriad of locations. Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and, of course, at IndianaSportsBeat.com, BigXSportsRadio.com. So many places you can listen to the program. Grant Abseth is, hopefully, he'll be joining us soon. He is our NBA guru.
Sleeping in.
Always something I wish I was doing. Indiana taking on Butler this Saturday in the Crossroads Classic. Purdue and Notre Dame will lock horns before that. Purdue is this is the game they need to win. They've lost a couple of games already. I think they've lost 3 or 4 games already. 4 games already early on in this season. So I don't think they want to get a 5th loss before January 1st. But not going to be an easy out with Notre Dame. That should be a pretty daggone good game.
Yeah, I think out of the 2 games, I think that'll probably be the better one.
I don't know. I think both of these are going to be good games.
I do too. And they normally are.
I think Indiana is just going to play close games. I think it's going to be their mantra. They're not a team that seems to put the foot on the gas pedal. They are doing enough to win. And I think a lot of the games are going to be close. But, of course, part of that is because the Big Ten is so daggone frickin' stinking tough this year. Oh, my gosh. It's just going to be a meat grinder. I mean, but you're going to be toughened up when you get through that. The guys that come through, those top
5-6 teams in the Big Ten, they're going to be tournament savvy at the end of that because you got 9 tough road games coming up. Yeah. Or 10. Well, they've already played 1, so they've got 9 more tough road games coming up. That's a brutal schedule.
Yeah.
Especially in a league that's as good as the Big Ten is right now with, 6 teams ranked in the top 25?
I believe so, yeah.
More than that in the top 30? I mean, they're just pretty much all the conference is going to be a difficult game. And even the ones, the bottom half, it doesn't matter. You still are you're playing on the road. You're playing against a team that's got nothing to lose, and you have a big target on your back. So you're going to get the best everywhere you go.
And Juwan Morgan was actually asked after the Louisville game about playing in close games and what that was like, because it seems like every game they play has come down to the end. Let's hear what he had to say.
We're definitely comfortable in that situation. I think just the hard work that we put in all season has prepared us for that. And last year around this time, we were always losing those games within the 10th ward, but now I think we're coming together as a group and doing a lot better job on both sides of the ball, knocking down free throws and also getting stops to put us over the top.
So that's a good point, I think. I mean, Indiana was losing the close games last year. This year they're finding a way to win them.
Yeah, they've got a lot more talent this year.
Sure.
But that is true. They did lose a lot of close games last year, which kept them out of the NCAA tournament. They couldn't get over the hump. They couldn't beat Ohio State at home, who they battled with. They couldn't beat Duke at home, who they battled toe-to-toe with. They had so many games in which they were so close. Of course, the Fort Wayne and Indiana State games were not 2 of those.
Ugh.
But that shows you right there the difference. That will not happen. Absolutely won't happen. Because this team plays a lot better brand of defense and a lot better brand of offense, and they just have more talent.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Hey, hit us up on the text line. Keep forgetting about that. 812-269-6367 with any questions. Doug's hitting us up from Australia. Doug, I hope you're having what would be a good night.
Good night, mate.
In Australia. But feel free to hit us up. Any comments, questions? Todd Leary is going to be on the show. Today we'll preview this Butler game a little more intently. But Indiana's getting to the point to where I think they need to be, where they have to be to compete in this Big Ten. The Big Ten is just going to be a juggernaut this year, a meat grinder of difficult games. It doesn't matter if you're on the road or at home. You're going to have tough games at home. Look what Northwestern did.
Sure.
Northwestern was the team picked to finish 13th. If that's the 13th best team in the conference,
going to be a long year.
Going to be a long year.
Tim texted the show. He said, who gets the ball first in the second half? I thought who got the tip in the first, the other team gets the ball out first in the second. That did not happen in a few games lately. What is the rule?
I think it's just alternating possession.
It is, yeah. So anytime there's a jump ball, say there's a jump ball in the first half, the possession will switch. So that other team will then get the ball first.
I think that if whoever has possession at the end of the half
gets the ball out of the half.
Gets the ball in. So it could be, it's not like the deferring to the second half in the football.
I mean, a majority of the time you don't get a jump ball in the first half and the possession stays the same, or you'll get 2 and the possession will be the same. But yeah, sometimes that doesn't work out like that.
Yeah, it's just weird, but how that works. But Todd Leary on the show today. Indiana taking on Butler tomorrow in the Crossroads Classic. Been off all week because it's been finals week, so no games for Indiana. Very, very few games this week. I did notice that Wisconsin played a game maybe last night, but very, very few. These are a lot of teams. These are the teams that you've never heard of that at the end of the season when some of these teams make the NCAA and you're like, who? Where are they from?
Wisconsin might have set a school record last night. Holy smokes. 101 points.
Yeah, you know what? They were a 36-point favorite over Savannah State.
Covered that.
101 points. That is a lot of points for Wisconsin. That's usually it takes them 3 games to score 100 points. But they're the only major conference team that I see that was playing last night.
Yeah.
I'm talking Huntington, North Alabama, St. Edwards and Rice, Kennesaw State, Gardner-Webb, Campbell, and Central Pennsylvania College. Middle Eastern Shore, Maryland Eastern Shore, Duquesne.
You mean you didn't have any interest in that North Florida International game?
Daggone it, I missed it. Northwestern Ohio and Wright State. Oh, here's my favorite. Averett and Longwood. There wasn't even a line on that game.
Well, Avery can't be D1.
Well, they're listed under there, so.
You can't even click on their name on the ESPN website. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm not even on that one, so. Yeah, it's just a dull week, a dead week. Now you'll next week back to regular play, and then you've got the bowl games that are starting to line up.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to bowl season. And then there's talk yesterday we talked about the fact that they're looking at going to 8 teams in the college football playoffs. Good thing, bad thing, what do you think?
That's definitely picked up some steam over the last week or so.
Well, what cracked me up is it kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's usually the rumbles about that are when you've got 6 solid teams that you're like, oh, man, that 6 teams should have been in there. Well, you don't really have that this year. I don't think that there's any. The only discrepancy I see, really, is Central Florida. And I've come to the belief that they should have been in. I think they earned it. And they proved it last year when they beat Auburn, that they were no fluke. Well, then I think people said, yeah, but that was last year. Well, they've only done it again, lost their quarterback, and still put 56 points on the board in a conference championship game.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you look at some of the other games they've played, though, I don't know that it's a schedule worthy of being in the playoffs. Just me. I mean, I know they're undefeated, but not everybody's getting to play the ECUs, the SMUs, the FAUs, the Navy. You know what I mean?
So are they being punished because that's the conference they're in? Do you think these other teams will play them? How many Power 5 teams do you think they can schedule?
Well, they've got this past year they had UConn, they had UNC on the schedule, but it got canceled due to the hurricane. And then you've got Pittsburgh. That's it. Cincinnati. Well, Cincinnati's not Power 5, so they got two teams on their schedule from Power 5.
That's just like Kaiser winning the Mr. Football yesterday. That was the big discussion. Jack Kaiser in Indiana plays for a Pioneer High School, a 1A school. Everybody's up in arms that David Bell didn't win, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year, one of the highest sought recruits in the state. Didn't win Mr. Football. It's a big discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I stand, to be honest with you. Yeah, the competition he played against was substantially higher. But his team that he played on was substantially better. The talent he played with is substantially better.
Whereas coming from a 1A school, Kaiser was...
He's the guy.
The guy. Yeah.
He's it.
He probably played linebacker,
he did.
D-end,
He's going to
running
Notre
back,
Dame as a linebacker.
Safety, cornerback.
Second all-time leading rusher in the state of Indiana. Now, of course, yes, he did that on a 1A team. So those numbers are a little skewed. But I was looking at their schedule. They were beating everybody 78-0, 66-0. They're not just winning games. They're destroying people.
Now, are they stepping up in competition, or are they taking all 1A teams?
Those were probably mostly 1A. But if they do that a couple times, they get bumped up.
Sure.
Of course, that won't matter because Kaiser will no longer be there. But it's just a great discussion.
No doubt.
It's certainly, when you've got a guy like David Bell who is so sought after, that wins so much, yet he was only named on 17 of 60. Part of the deal is how it is determined. 60 coaches, only 60 coaches vote on the Mr. Football. That's only 10 coaches per class.
How do they determine that, I wonder?
That I don't know. But, so, you've got guys voting that don't see these guys, that really don't have a clue. I'm not sure that they did it. I'm not sure that's the right system. But
I feel like in this situation, Jack Kaiser is UCF. Like, very worthy to win, sure. Could have made an argument for David Bell, sure. But I think Kaiser ends up winning. That's the equivalent of UCF getting in the playoff.
Well, that's enough of that. Let's get, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have Todd Lear. We'll talk more about basketball. Something fun.
There we go.
Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's back right after this. Todd Lear will be joining us.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF. Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
We've got a long way to go and a short.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Friday, and joined as always by the man with the plan, Todd Leary. Todd, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Oh, lovely. Week of not very good games this week with final weeks going on. I was telling Justin, I'm looking down through these scores, and I mean, these are the teams that at the end of the season when the NCAA tournament comes out, and you're like, who are they? Man, I'm like Southern Baptist College of San Jacinto State and just teams you never heard of.
Yeah, it's hard to believe as much basketball as we've watched and seen over the years, especially even when the tournament comes around, that there's still some teams I've never heard of, but it seems to happen this week every year.
Yeah, it's funny, but I guess it's a great time for them because it's the only time they get some recognition in being that team that's playing right now while everyone else is not.
Yep. They must take their finals at a weird time, but they always get on primetime TV this week.
As a player, what is it like finals week? I mean, obviously you got a lot of stuff going on. The season is kind of really up and going right now, so you can't really take a break from the season, but there is this forced break of sorts for the mentally at least when you involve finals for these students because it's not the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, well, I can't speak for the way things are now, but I can tell you that the coach that I had I'm not sure he knew what finals were, so our week wasn't a whole lot different. We practiced just as long and just as hard, and there wasn't a whole lot different. I mean, the only benefit you ever had is if you had a teacher that scheduled a final during when we were going to practice. Otherwise, the week didn't seem a whole lot different other than we didn't have any games.
Indiana with a big win last week over Louisville at home, a game that was closer than I anticipated it being early on, but Louisville was a team that played much better as the season progressed. They knocked off Michigan State, but Indiana able to come out of that with a win, and they did enough to get that win, but there's obviously some things they're going to need to improve upon as the season progresses.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think Louisville is a team that has played much better early in the season than what a lot of people anticipated. But, that was a good kind of grinded out kind of win. They didn't play great. The free throw line about cost them again. But they did grind it out. Luckily, it was at home. If that's a road game, you probably can't play that way and get away with winning. But the crowd obviously was awesome. And, that you're going to need those wins. I don't know, that's kind of a cliche statement that people say when you just don't play very good. And it's amazing. You think about that, and we feel pretty good about it. 1 point, I know they hit a three right at the buzzer, but I mean, 1 point is the difference between us talking about them of that's when they grinded out and got the win versus that's a game you can't lose when you're at home at the end of the year when you're trying to make the tournament. And it's amazing what the little difference we used to sit there and think about how different our practice week would be if Coach Knight, to him, if we lose that game by one, it's so much different than if you win that game by one. And for a practice week to have a whole week ahead of you like that, that's always the game you wanted to win. I remember my senior year, we played Kentucky at the Dome in Indianapolis the week after we had lost to Butler, and it was the week leading into we would have a whole week off. And I think Kentucky was ranked either 1 or 2 or really high up there, and we somehow grinded out that win and got that, and it made this week a lot easier back then, and I know we were all blessed to have that.
Absolutely. Now, as Indiana continues to go forward, we get closer to Big Ten season. You've watched them develop. I was talking earlier; they're getting back to developing more as a team now, but that was so interrupted by all that rash of injuries, and they're still not completely over it. Deron Davis is trying to work himself back into health. Zach McRoberts working back into the rotation. Even Devontae Green. These guys are having to work back into this rotation. All the while, you got Romeo, who is getting better and better and stronger as the season progresses.
Yeah, I mean, the good part is to be able to say that you can have that many guys injured and out and still have guys that are capable of grinding out a win to be able to be in the lineup. I mean, they're a pretty darn deep team. I think the first couple of games, I think we all looked at it and thought, they're not going to be able to keep Fitzner out of the lineup. And, with Zach McRoberts, the guy just always figures out a way that you have to put him in the lineup. He just makes all the hustle plays and does all the little stuff. And those two guys have had pretty little minor contributions in the last couple of games. So you look at what they're capable of if all those guys are clicking and playing well. And Devontae Green came in and made some big plays the other day. And it's, it's nice to see so many different people. That kind of reminds you back of some of the teams that I was on, that Coach Knight had recruited guys that when they would come in, they would, me being one of them, I didn't start very often, but when you would get in the game, I mean, you made a positive contribution. And I think that's what this team is doing a lot better of this year. That's to Archie's credit, I think. Yeah,
I think you're right. There is some similarities. They don't have the talent that you guys had. You guys are bringing in 8 deep guys that could start about anywhere. That was a hell of a formidable team. But I mentioned this last week that this team seems to somehow get a different subcast member to step up and provide something needed in that game, which is ultimately important because Indiana's kind of a two-headed monster right now with Juwan and Romeo being the straws that stir the drink. They need to get that third guy. Justin Smith is kind of after some weird games. He's kind of came back with some solid performances. 9-rebound performance in the Northwestern game, a 9-rebound, 9-point performance in the Louisville game. That's something they have to get from somebody like him. They have to have that third option.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that kind of leads just exactly into what we're saying. I mean, that's not. We could say it's going to be Justin Smith. We can say it's going to be McRoberts. We can say it's going to be Fitzner. I mean, there's so many different guys that can step in and are capable of that. I mean, it's a fun team to watch, and obviously we're going to talk about Romeo about every game. We're probably going to talk about Juwan about every game. But there's that third and fourth person. We're going to, I think, be able to talk about a different third and fourth cast member just about every game, hopefully.
You played on a team with Calbert Cheney, someone that's comparable to, I guess, to Romeo as far as stature. But Calbert didn't come in with the notoriety that Romeo did. Calbert just kind of blossomed.
Oh, I tell you what, when we all of the attention in that summer, we played AAU basketball. We all played together. Not like they do now, but we didn't have near as many games. But we played 3 or 4 tournaments throughout the summer and that year coming in as freshmen. And Funderburk got the majority of the attention. And then Pat Graham, being Mr. Basketball from Indiana, he got, probably the second most attention. And Calbert was injured. He had broken his foot, so he didn't play with us at all. And coming in, I'm telling you, no one talked about Calbert. From a media standpoint, from, who's going to step in and play, no one talked about Calbert. But I tell you what, after our first, maybe our second or third practice that we had when he played, and I had never seen him play. I didn't see him play at all in high school. Even being from Indiana, I had never seen him play. But after about that second or third practice, it was pretty obvious who the man was going to be eventually. I mean, he was just, I don't know how he wasn't ranked higher or whatever. He was just so smooth, had such a good jump shot. And, he was just that crazy athletic, sneaky, crazy athletic guy that he was strong and he snuck it under the radar. I mean, I honestly don't know how more teams didn't look at him and go after him. But yeah, he definitely blossomed into something that, he'll probably forever be the all-time leading scorer because I doubt anybody will ever stay long enough at a school to beat him in the Big Ten. So he just ended up being so much better and than anyone thought he'd be.
Yeah, he had an okay career. It turned out all right for him.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
It's all right. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention you also had the great opportunity of playing with Eric Anderson, a great player for Indiana, but more a great person. I've not heard anything but just unbelievable things being said about him as a person and a teammate.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, and it's kind of funny how every team, even when we're there for 4 or 5 years or whatever we're there for, and guys graduate and new freshmen come in. So every team's a little bit different. There's different personalities that come in, and you've got to get along with different people in a different way. The funny part is Eric was always the guy who got along with everyone. It didn't matter if the seniors going out. I mean, he roomed with Jeff Oliphant, and Font was an older player when I got there, and Eric just got along with everyone. He got along with the older guys. He got along with the younger guys. He got along with the coaches. He got along with the managers. He got along with the students. And I mean, it did not matter. Eric had a personality, and I was talking to Brian Evans about it the other day, and it was just interesting that one of the things that we all keep talking about every time you talk to someone who knew Eric is they talk about how much he smiled, and he was one of those guys that I think just if you say lit up a room, I think that's what everybody says when they see him. But anytime you'd ever run into Eric, the first thing he would do is smile at you, no matter what. And it's just such a welcoming, heartfelt thing. He was just a good guy, and you probably won't find anybody that didn't like him. And it's unfortunate of what happened. Obviously, it's unfortunate. It's just sad for his son Sam and everything. I mean, Sam was everything to him, and it's a really sad situation. I mean, it's kind of scary from our perspective because I know we're the same age as what he was or what he is, and I don't feel old enough to be talking about my friends dying of heart attacks and stuff like that, but in reality, I guess we really are.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but one of the things that he's been talked so well about as a person, he was a hell of a player. He was maybe one of the most underrated players in Indiana. He's one of only 6. To be on the board with so many points and so many rebounds. He was a great player for Indiana.
Oh, it was ridiculous. I mean, he was he kind of got overshadowed. I don't want to just say by Calbert, but he kind of got overshadowed because he was so consistent. You just expected that from him every night, and he gave it to you every night. And then he would have the rare. I remember when we played at Cincinnati. I want to say it was either his junior or senior year. It might have been his senior year. We played at Cincinnati, and I think he started the game out like 8 for 8 from the floor, and every shot was like a 17-foot jump shot. I mean, he was on fire, and we would have gotten beaten that game if it hadn't been for him. And we could probably say that about a whole bunch of games, but it's kind of like I said, everybody just expected him to score, 10 to 15 points and probably grab 7 to 10 rebounds, and he did it every night. And there was just never a day that he took off, and he used to always complain. I remember specifically, we used to always sit there, and he look at a guy like Calbert, and he would say, how am I supposed to compete with a guy like you? He gets that real high-pitched voice. He's like, look at my body. I got no athletic ability. Even though he's 6'9", he just would always sit there and complain about the fact that he can't compete against other guys, but every night he put the numbers up. So, yeah, he's a dude that, when we get back together and we do those things back on the reunions and stuff like that, he's always the guy who was fun to be around, and everyone loved it. And I will miss that immensely, I can tell you.
Absolutely, a tough loss for Hoosier Nation. Indiana taking on Butler now Saturday in this Crossroad Classics up in Bankers Life Fieldhouse. What are you expecting to see in this game?
Well, it's hard to say in that. I mean, Indiana doesn't seem to have a whole lot of luck playing in that gym. But, I expect Indiana to, come out and be consistent, have, if you go, this is one of the years with Butler that I think that there should be 2 or 3 positions on the floor where Indiana has a talent or a physical advantage. And hopefully they can, they can figure out a way to get the ball to those people and take advantage of the mismatches. But, you never count Butler out. I mean, they're just a team that the years when you think they're down, they're not, and especially in a game like this. I mean, they want to prove that all of those guys could have played at IU or played in the Big Ten, and they just always make it a great game, and they can turn it into an ugly game and figure out a way to win. And hopefully that's what this Indiana team is now, and I feel like they are. But Indiana, like I said, should have a talent advantage at 2 or 3 positions on the floor throughout the game.
Butler's always been kind of I don't want to say Indiana light because I don't want to disparage them in any way, but very similar in the fact that they're always built with a lot of guys from Indiana, filtered in with some other great players, but they're always so well coached. They've got a run of coaches, 6 deep, that they've hit home run after home run with very good coaching.
Yep, they really have, and they. You can't call it luck when it's happened this many times. I mean, they've got a machine there that is that works, and they're doing a great job with it. And it's difficult to beat a team that's well coached, especially when you get players that are there for 3 and 4 years all the time. When guys play in systems and they believe in it, it's tough to beat them when they've got that kind of talent. So that's really been their strong suit, and I don't see that stopping anytime soon. I mean, they're doing a great job. They'll get another good recruiting class, and they'll probably continue on with that.
And they've picked up steam a little bit. It's hard to say they picked up steam when they played in 2 national championship games, but they moved on to the Big East Conference. They've really elevated from the days of Butler being not really known outside of this area to a nationally known product now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, those two national championship game runs are. You've got to not only have talent, you've got to have some luck involved in being able to get that far in the tournament. And, those guys accomplished something not very many teams can say, and it's impressive. They're going to feed off of that for a long time. And they have, and they've done a great job with it. And so you can't give enough credit to the whole staff and the administration there. And then the players. I mean, they've made it happen. So they had an opportunity, and they have definitely taken advantage of it. You definitely have to give them some credit for that.
Had A.J. Moye on yesterday. A great conversation with A.J., but it took us back. Reminded us.
Did you do the chant? Did you do the chant?
Oh, A.J. Moye. Every time we print it, how do you not?
The best name for a chant in the world.
Awesome. I should have asked him about that, but what is it like to have the perfect name? Because you can't go anywhere in life without anybody not doing that. But it gave us the opportunity to go back and look at that Duke game, and the call of that game was something that stood out to me. I don't know, Justin, if you've got that, but he was at the free throw line, and whoever this guy is doing the color on this, he's getting a little homer action, it sounds like.
Moye steps to the strike. A.J. with 12 points.
Come on, make the first
2 shots coming.
Make the first one.
Moye, first one in the air. Good! Yeah! Come on, A.J.
Man, I was laughing my butt off at that. I'm like going, okay, well, there's no, don't worry about any bias here.
Well, I can tell you, it got worse after that because I was standing. We did that game down on the floor. We weren't up in the rafters. We did that game down on the floor, and I was standing on the media table right after that happened. And I yanked my headset off, and I was standing there high-fiving Dane Fife and all those guys. And I ended up having to write a letter to the NCAA apologizing for not being for being too biased.
That's great.
I lost my mind. I lost my mind there for a minute. I went from trying to focus on working to being a fan in about 5 seconds there. So I made a fool out of myself. But I
love it though. The truth be told, it's awesome. I love the broadcast. It was very, very cool. So
it was fun. It was fun.
Thank you so much, Todd Leary. Look forward to talking to you next week. Actually, we'll see you Saturday at the game, right?
Yes, sir. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, brother. You have a great one. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Todd Leary, former IU great, joins us as he does each and every week here on Indiana Sports Beat. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Make sure you stay tuned. Tomorrow, the games will be on. Purdue taking on Notre Dame, and then Indiana and Butler after that right here on Big X Sports Radio. For Justin Kalen, I'm Jim Coyle, and I'll see you on the radio.